Hey there, travelers. Now, as we mentioned last week, we're getting ready for Carolina Carnage this weekend, so we're turning our attention this week back to our encampment, focusing on a few display upgrades. Now, has this ever happened to you? You're coming in from an adventure, trying to just take your gear and cloak off, and you just find yourself thinking, man, I wish there was a place that I could store all of my armor and outfit without having to fold everything up and put it into some drawer. Or have you ever found yourself with the problem of having too many loose torsos just floating around your workshop? Not being in where you need them, being in places that you don't need them, but not having a good place to store them because they don't have suitable legs? Well, how about we solve both problems with one solution? Today, we're going to learn how to make some mannequins. We have a few of these to build, so fortunately it is an easy build. All you need is some rebar, a 2x4, and an old torso. Now, you don't need this much rebar for each one. Really, only about 8 inches, maybe a foot of rebar, so this should be good for about 3 of our mannequins, and one 8-foot 2x4 per each one. This will be a pretty simple. We're going to cut it down into legs, which will be our first step. We're not going to be too precious or exact. And real easy way to figure out what height we want it to be at is literally just taking this, holding it up, and saying, yeah, that's about it, marking. We're going to take and cut our 2x4 here, and this will act as our central post. So we will use the chop saw for this. It's just going to be real simple. So first we will make our long cut. Again, this will be our central post, and then we will cut 4 legs at a 45-degree angle. We're going to make each leg about a foot long, so not too much, but enough to give it some sturdiness. With everything sanded, it is time to assemble the legs to the central post. We're going to screw them together, but first I'm just going to tack everything together with the nail gun so that we get some structure. Then we can go back and put our screws in. With the base assembled, we have to put in the rebar that our torso will attach to. We're going to get our paddle bit that is just about the size of the diameter of our rebar. And we want to drill as close to the center and as straight in as we possibly can. Once we've gotten to a sufficient depth, we can now cut our rebar down to size and slot it in there. It's going to go down a fairly decent amount. We're going to put a sharp edge on there with the angle grinder. That way we can really drive it down into the wood and set it in there with some epoxy to really solidify it in place. As you can see, some of our epoxy has sort of seeped back out. That's good. That means that there's a secure, tight fit. While that's setting up, we can work on our next step, which is pretty fun. But what I want to do with our mannequins is sort of upgrade them, make them honestly be able to display cloaks, but give them a little more personality as well. And to do that, we're going to give all of them heads and faces. Now, you can pick up a standard homunculus head at your local magical craft store for pretty cheap. We are going to have to do some customization, whittle down some of this neck. As you can see, this is some not very strong foam, so we're going to whittle down this neck such that it fits down into this neck stump. And once we do that, we will cover it with some protective binding tape and paint it and get a result kind of like this. We are not quite finished on this one yet. As I mentioned, we are in the process of making several of these guys, upgrading all of them. So let's get started on this guy's face. So it's going to be kind of straightforward and kind of not, honestly. It's just going to require some experimenting and kind of carving. So I'm going to start with just a smaller little knife, making some incisions. If you have any experience working in clay, that might be helpful. I am going to go slow, sort of mark where I think the cuts need to be made, and whittle away like I would, you know, a wood carving basically, and until we can secure the head and the neck down into our stump. Just doing that one cut got me a lot closer to what I wanted than I thought it would. We've got a little bit up here to trim off of this head, but I'm real happy with how it's sitting on the shoulders, on the neck stump. I think everything looks good, so I'm going to trim this front part down, and then we're going to cover it with our bindings and spray it down. Now the final layer of everything is going to be a water-resistant Flex Seal coating, and we are going to permanently affix our homunculus heads to our mannequin bodies, so that they will be useful, good employees around the shop and guards around our encampment. Let's get started. On to the final step of our mannequin making process, and as you can see, I went ahead and covered the rest of the torso with our blue binding tape. That's going to give a nice layer for our Flex Seal to adhere to. This is our final step, covering our new guy with a type of liquid skin. It's going to protect him, give him a harder plasticky outside coating, and make him stand up to the elements a lot better. With all of our adhesive applied, now all we have to do is wait for our head and torso to set up, and we're going to have a nice, weather-tight, dependable body that we can use for help around the shop, when we're selling on the road, even around the encampment. Maybe you just need to hang a cloak up, maybe you need an extra body for target practice. But whatever it's going to be, this is going to be a dependable method. You can even stain the legs for a little added durability. So thanks for watching this week's tutorial. Now, we hope you can join us this weekend for Carolina Carnage, the largest medieval combat tournament in North America. We have over 450 knights coming from all over the states, even a few teams from overseas. We're going to have a vendor's market. It'll be a great time to come, do a little shopping, watch some knights in some epic combat, even get a chance to throw some axes. Just a great medieval time all around. Hopefully we can see you there. Check out more information on that in the link below. And until next time, travelers, keep wandering.